Namaste, Pranam, Gita Dhyana. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Ritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite bhavadveshinim. O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Arjuna. The ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, the showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters. O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki. O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 17th Adhyaya of Shraddha Vibhaga Yoga. And Sri Krishna just recently completed us teaching about the three types of sacrifices. That three types of people they perform. How the sattvic people they perform the sacrifice, how the rajasic types perform the sacrifice, and how the tamasic types of sacrifices, which are good to none, neither the performer nor those who have come to attain that function. It is not good for anyone. It is not beneficial for anyone. So, like sattvic sacrificial act, sattvic yajna, it is good for all. It is beneficial for the performer of the yajna as well as those who have come to attend that function. The rajasic is at least good for the performer because the performer seeks for himself or herself. There is nothing sought for others. There is no fruit desired for others who have come to attend that function, to attend that ceremony, to attend that sacrificial act. But the entire focus is, what will I gain? The entire focus is through the desire of that fruit of sacrifice, and then the practice is conducted in the hypocritical manner. No ordinance is followed, and everything is done in a haphazard way with the only intent of getting something for me. So that is the rajasic type. And sattvic type, neither good for the performer nor for the others, because it is, first of all, it is not as per the scriptural injunctions. It is not according to the ordinances. Then there is no offering of any food. There is no offering of any prasad for all the people who have come there. There is no offering of any gifts. And even while performing that act, while performing that yajna, there is no chanting of mantras. So it is all done in a totally haphazard manner without any import of the faith as such. Totally lack of faith, lack of Shraddha. And Sri Krishna says that type of sacrifice, tamasam parichakshate, vidhihinam asrishtanam mantrahinam adakshinam, Shraddha viryahatam yajnam tamasam parichakshate. That is the type of tamasic sacrifice. Now, having taught us about these three types of sacrifices, the sattvic yajna, the rajasic yajna, the tamasic yajna, now Sri Krishna is going to tell us about the austerities. First he told us about the food aspect, then he told us about the worship, then the sacrifices, and now he is going to tell us about the austerities. Now when it comes to austerities, first of all, there are three types of, the nature of austerities is different. There are some austerities which are done with the physical involvement of the body. Then there are some activities which are done with the spirit of the speech-oriented austerity. And then some austerities which are mental-oriented, which are the entire focus of those austerities is strengthening the mind. Now, this is what the three types of sacrifices, three types of austerities, they come into effect. And Sri Krishna first is going to tell us about what is the bodily austerity, what is the speech austerity, what is the mental austerity. And then Sri Krishna will tell us about the sattvic, rajasic and tamasic elements of these austerities. So here Sri Krishna starts with in the 14th shlok that we are going to read. Sri Krishna is going to tell us about the austerities of the body. What are the austerities of the body? The physical as such, the gross. Devadvijaguruprājñapūjanaṃ śaucamārjavam brahmacaryamahiṃsā śārīraṃ tapa ucyate. Devadvijaguruprājñapūjanaṃ. Pujanam is worshipping. Worship, the physical worship. Physical worship of the deities, of the Dev, of the gods, goddesses. Physical worship of the Dvija, the twice born. Physical worship of Guru, the teachers, and the Prajna, the wise ones, enlightened ones, illumined ones. Now these four categories of people, gods are also for that matter people, but of a very high evolutionary order. So these four categories have to be worshipped, Sri Krishna says. Now when these four categories are worshipped with śaucamārjavam, with purity and continence and with humility, with purity and uprightness, humility, brahmacaryamahiṃsā. And when this austerity of worshipping these four types is undertaken with with intense purity of the mind, is undertaken with intense uprightness of the straightforwardness, of the humility, with intense humility and brahmacharya, with the following the practices of continence, following the practices of celibacy, the brahmacharya, and ahimsa, non-injury. When such worship is carried out with the intent of purity, with humility, with following strict following of the brahmacharya, of the celibacy and non-injury, ahimsa, these type of austerities, they are called as the physical austerities, the austerities of the body. Because the bodily purification is aimed in performing these worships of the gods, the twice born, the gurus and the learned ones, the enlightened ones. So this is the first type of austerity that Sri Krishna has talked about. Worship of gods, of the twice born, of teachers and of the learned ones, of the wise. Purity, uprightness, continence and non-injury. When this worship is carried out with the spirit of purity, uprightness, celibacy and non-injury, these are said to be the austerities of the body. Because all the physical things are involved here. The purity of the body, the practice of following the celibacy to the strict, in a strict sense, these are all the bodily functions. These are all the bodily way of purification. Even the non-injury. We injure others. This non-injury, this ahimsa is not just not physical injury, but not inflicting any kind of injury, whether it is physical, whether it is mental, whether it is emotional, no injury to any being for that matter. So this is what Sri Krishna says. When these elements are brought in, elements of purity, element of chastity, element of non-injury. And with these elements, with these intents, when the four categories are worshipped, like the gods and goddesses, the deities for that matter, the deities, the twice born, the guru, the teachers, from whom we have learned something, we have gained some knowledge, those also need to be worshipped. And of course the learned one, the wise one who spread knowledge at large. It is not only just a guru and disciple relationship. The sages, the saints, the holy people, they share their experiences, they share their realizations with one and all, without keeping anything to themselves. So these kind of learned people, they need to be worshipped. So when such worship is undertaken, Sri Krishna says that all these austerities are they considered to be the austerities of the body. Tapaha means to melt. Useful metals are extracted by melting ores. Now actually the literal translation of tapaha is to melt. Now what is to be melted? Now why the significance of tapas? Why the significance to the meaning as melting something? If we have to create anything out of metal, it has to be first melted. That metal has to be melted. The old and scrap metals are renewed by the same process of melting. Only when it is the metal is melted, we can form it to the desired shape. Without that, we cannot. The life of man can similarly be renewed and rejuvenated by tapas or austerity. Now tapas, when we undertake austerity, it is like melting our own self. It is melting our own self and putting it in a dye to take that shape. That is the literal explanation of the word tapas. This is what happens with us when we undertake austerities. We are trying to melt our old selves, and having liquefied those old selves, then we put them in the dye. We cast it that shape. We cast a new shape out of it through the tapas. And therefore these austerities are performed to get us into that new mold, into that new dye, into that new shape. It is boon with which man is endowed so that he may reform and recreate himself into a higher order of existence. It is an evolutionary process. So from lower to higher, lower to high, high to higher, higher to highest. That is how our progress is going to be. So for every change, we need to melt ourselves. For every change, we need to perform the austerities. So this is what Sri Krishna is now referring to. And one type of austerity is the austerities of the body. Austerities of the body by way of worshipping the deities, worshipping the twice born, worshipping the teachers, and worshipping the learned ones, the realized souls, the enlightened souls. Have to be worshipped with the intent of purity, with the intent of chastity, with the intent of celibacy, and with the intent of non-injury. When such a worship is undertaken, when such austerities are undertaken, those austerities are termed as the austerities of the body. Now, what is four categories that Sri Krishna has mentioned? The deities. Deities, basically, they are the facets of the creator, the saguna aspect of the Purushottama, the advents of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Ishvara, and the goddesses Kali, Durga, Ambika, and Jagadhatri. These kind of they are all manifestations of that ultimate Purusha, that ultimate divine principle. So their worship is very much necessary for melting ourselves. Their worship is necessary to mold ourselves into that different caste, different mold, from lower to high. Then the second category Sri Krishna tells about worshipping is the Dvija. Dvija is the twice born. Now, although the dictionary meaning of Dvija is given as the four castes in the Hindu tradition, Brahmins, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Out of these, the Brahmins, Kshatriya and Vaishya, they are supposed to be twice born because they undergo the ceremony called as Yajñopavita, the thread ceremony. After that ceremony, they are entitled to do certain things. So Dvija is basically a twice born. Now, what is the twice born? First birth is physical. The physical coming out from mother's womb, that is the first birth. And after the so-called thread ceremony, these categories of people, they are entitled to pursue higher streams. A child of Brahmin will study Vedas. The child of Kshatriya will study the art of the war, the use of arms and ruling the state. All those kind of state management. The child of Vaishnava will start learning the trade practices. So this is the kind of the second birth for the three categories. The Shudra are supposed to be, they are just helpers for all the three. Now, in the reality, none of the Shastras, they actually claimed that, okay, people get these by birth. The Brahmanism or Kshatriya or the Vaishya or Shudra. It is a type of the functions they perform in the society. Anyone who does the work of teaching is a Brahmin. Anyone who works towards protecting the people, protecting the society, protecting the country is a Kshatriya. Anyone who is involved in the trade, now whether by birth he may be a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a Shudra, but if he is into the trade, into the business, into creating wealth for the nation for that matter, that is a Vaishya. And the Shudra, they are all helpers. They are all helping all the three categories and also themselves. Now, that is the concept of Dvija, but in scriptural understanding, Dvija is twice born, is one with the physical birth and one the spiritual birth. The second one is the spiritual birth. That spiritual birth is what is going to lead a person. That spiritual birth is what is going to lead a spiritual aspirant to the final liberation. Without that spiritual birth, there is no liberation. Without that spiritual birth, there is no enlightenment. And without that spiritual birth, there is no running away from this cycle of birth and death. Till the time the spiritual birth doesn't happen, there is no way that one can get rid of this cycle of birth and death and has to come back into this the world of Maya, the world of Prakriti, again the creation, again and again and again. So that is the second category. Third category Sri Krishna has talked about is Guru. Naturally, Guru, the most revered ones who actually impart knowledge to their disciples, who actually mold the disciples' way of thinking, way of behavior, who actually convert them from the lower being to a high one. They help them in coming to the higher level. So those are the gurus. They need to be worshipped. And the fourth category is the prajna. the enlightened souls, those who have had realization, those who are the seers, the wise one in the real sense, not wise in terms of collecting all the certificates and diplomas, not that kind of wisdom, the practical spiritual wisdom of getting the enlightenment. So these four categories, Sri Krishna says, they deserve our worship. And if that worship is conducted in the most sincere manner, with all the purity, if that worship is conducted with the intent of celibacy, with the intent of that brahmacharya, and with the intent of the third party's ahimsa, the non-injury, when such worship of these four types is undertaken with these three basic intents of the purity, the humility, and the brahmacharya and ahimsa, then that kind of austerity is called as the bodily austerity. So now these are actually most of us, we have heard this terminology, kaya, vacha, mana. These three type of, the kaya is body, the physical thing. Vacha is the speech. And mana, the mind. So Sri Krishna is going to tell us now, he has already taught us about the austerities of body. Now next he is going to tell us about the austerity of vacha, of the speech, and austerity of mana, austerity of the mind. That we will take up in our next readings. Till then, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.